Hey everyone, Charting Man Dan from ChartGuys.com. You know, behind every single video that we put out every single day, there's a wonderful community of traders that we want to invite you to be a part of. Try the free 7-day trial and gain access to our live market broadcasts every morning and afternoon, interact with hundreds of like-minded traders, or take part in one of our dedicated chat rooms, each led by an analyst that's there to answer your questions in real time. Our trial is risk-free with absolutely no commitment or credit card required to experience the TCG community. For those looking for a head start in technical analysis, check out our entries and exits course in the link below in the description. Get up to speed with the fundamentals of TCG technical analysis and experience over 5 hours of great community-driven trading education. Checking in on YELP GWPH PCLN NVDA TSLA daily weekly time frame. So YELP still continuing to consolidate. We're not dumping by any means, but we're taking a breather here, and the bulls are slowing things down. So we've got support down at 35.09. We're still looking at this gap of 34.64, and we have to be a bit cautious because YELP has very clearly been in full control by the bears for the majority of 2017, and this middle Bollinger Band needs to become support. So the ideal scenario for the bulls is to take a bit of a breather, establish a new base of support, maybe even ideally filling that gap, get that out of the way, 34.64, and then regain this middle Bollinger Band on the weekly as support, and that's going to be right at $36 next week, and it does look like it's going to take at least till next week for the bulls to turn that level into support. Very unlikely to happen tomorrow. GWPH, bullish reversal candlestick on the daily time frame. I'm not interested in GWPH until we get this 100-day moving average resistance as support. After rejecting from that level so many times in a row, it's very clear to me that that has to become support in order for the bulls to see any kind of significant move to the upside. So it's a very clear resistance. It's at 120.05. It's lining up right around the weekly middle Bollinger Band. So even though this is a bullish reversal candlestick, I'm not interested. I would gladly give up the reward to the upside to get to that resistance in order to give up the risk of just bouncing short term and forming another lower high. I'm looking at GWPH as more of a long-term play, more of an investment than as of a trade. So watching to see the trend change to favor the bulls rather than just trying to get a short-term bounce. PCLN, blue sky breakout, extremely strong day today. We could see the bids building at 1880, and at the end of this morning, as I was wrapping up the live session at about 10:30 or so, it was very clear that there was some bulls building up, building the bid, and it looked really close like PCLN was going to see a big move. And towards the second half of the day, that's when the volume really came in, the bulls showed up, and in the last half hour, it was pouring in volume, and we ran up about $18 in 45 minutes. It was a huge move to the upside, big bull break, and very clearly the bulls are still in full control. If the S&P 500 gets a blue sky breakout in the short term, as we are anticipating, PCLN is certainly set up to benefit from that. We're looking up at 1918, 1925, 1930 as resistances. We're back above the upper Bollinger Band. Update that level at the open tomorrow to be support. Nothing to say but bullish on the weekly time frame, watching the upper Bollinger Band weekly resistance of 1917, watching to see if we can close above that level by the end of the day tomorrow. NVDA, unable to get over this 100-day. So look at how many times this level has come into play in the past 2 weeks. Support 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Resistance 1, 2 times. So that's at 104.74. It is slightly ascending to the upside. And very clearly, the bulls need to close above that level, regain it as support in order to be heading back to the upside. Very clear range right now to be watching. Must hold support 102.56. Must break resistance for the bulls is 106.85. That is our channel to be watching. Whichever breaks in the short term is going to indicate the short-term direction. So keep an eye on those two levels. And we have a gap in either direction. If we get a bull break of 106.85, gap at 107.42, bear break of 102.56, gap to fill at 101.79. Weekly time frame is rejecting from the middle Bollinger Band on the weekly, 105 on the dot. That level needs to become back as support in order for the bulls to try and see some upside. We have a descending triangle pattern here on the weekly. Lower high, bouncing off a horizontal base of support, another lower high. We might come back down towards the mid-$90 range and bounce off that support again as this pattern continues to tighten. It all depends on how that daily chart goes with those levels just highlighted. Tesla, dump after earnings. The break of the pre-market low of 303.50 was the bear signal. Then we broke 300, and then we just saw a big-time dump. So we saw at least an $8 move to the downside from that pre-market low break, and it was a nice move. We have the support level here of 294.20. We did still close above it. We bounced off the lower Bollinger Band support, and if we lose the lower Bollinger Band as support, we're going to be looking down at this gap fill at 279.68. So gap fill will be on watch, 279.68. Also another gap down at 270.57 to be watching. If we do see a bounce play out, we will anticipate a short-term bounce, a lower high to be established, and then to head back down and test whatever support we establish here on the way down. Weekly time frame for Tesla, big bearish reversal candlestick, the most bearish candlestick we've seen in the past 6 months or so. So it's definitely notable, and there's a gap on the weekly at 282 as well. So there's plenty of gaps to be watching, keeping an eye on further pullback, and we'll watch to see if the bulls can hold the low of today, tomorrow, 290.76. If they cannot, we know a gap fill is likely coming. So I appreciate you watching. We'll tune back in over the weekend and catch up as to how we wrapped up the week. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.